So you have a big presentation coming up and you are terrified. Maybe you are feeling a little nervous. Maybe you're worried about the content because you really want to send home your message. Well, I'm here to give you a few tips on how you can purposefully plan for that presentation. Because let's face it, oftentimes we attend presentations, we attend meetings, and someone gets up and gives this big presentation, and you either feel extremely overwhelmed or you leave it going like, what in the heck was that? I don't even know what I was supposed to be learning. So today I'm going to share with you some tips that you can use to plan effectively. As a former educator, I was in the business of curriculum writing, and oftentimes we would use these exact same strategies to plan for lessons to engage eighth graders, high schoolers, elementary kids, and we followed this format. And let me tell you, it works the same for any profession. So let's get into it. Tip number one, you have to know your audience. You need to know their top of mind pain. What is killing them? Is it that they are terrified of speaking? Is it that they are terrified of reaching their content or reaching their audience? You need to know who's in the room with you. You also need to know the relevance. Is it relatable to your audience? Because if it's not, guess what you're going to see? You're going to see a bunch of this. Texting. They're just texting the whole time or scrolling through social media. You don't want to do that. You want to make it relevant and you want them to pay attention. You also need to speak to their specific needs. What is it? It goes back to the top of mind pain. What is it that they want? What is it that they need? Or maybe it's for an organization and you're teaching about a new product or you're teaching about a new service, or maybe there's a new goal that your team has. Still, it needs to be specific to their needs. And then you need to know their engagement style. You have some people that love to get up and talk and discuss. Some people need that processing time. You also have individuals that are like, don't talk to me during this time. I want to take notes. You need to know who is in your audience to make it the most effective. Now, tip number two, this one is huge. And I notice a lot of people don't start here. Before you ever start mapping out your presentation, you find your pretty slideshow, you need to determine the one intention for learning. One, again, you don't want to overwhelm your audience. So let's talk about the intent. What is the one goal that you want them to leave knowing and being the expert on? You need to get clear about it before you ever start planning. This is where a lot of speakers go on tangents or they get muddied in other areas that maybe they get excited about. You want to keep it very clear. Two, be specific and let your people know what it is. What is the intention for learning? When I leave today, what am I going to know? Because that is going to capture their attention. This is where you want to start. Don't start planning until you have this determined. So here's the third tip. Determine the success for learning. What is the success criteria? And you might be thinking, Alyssa, what is this? What do you mean by success? What actions do you want your clients or potential leads, or maybe it is your team or personnel, what do you want them to be able to do that you can visibly see during the presentation and after the presentation? So I have my big learning target, my big learning goal, but throughout the presentation, maybe I want them responding to questions, very specific questions. Maybe I want them to raise their hands or give a heck yes in the middle of it. Maybe I want them to turn and talk with someone so that they have the opportunity to process that information. But you want to be able to gauge the success of your presentation along the way, not just wait until the end and be like, okay, was that good? You need key performance indicators that will help you determine if your success criteria falls in line and they reach that learning target. It could even be something as simple as stay off your phone, but you want to first, like I mentioned, know your audience, then have your big goal, and then determine actionable steps that you want your audience to take either during or after the presentation. That will help you determine if it's successful. And then tip number 4, weave in stories. Everyone loves stories, but here's the kicker. Don't go on some big tangent of a personal experience that no one can relate to. It needs to be relatable. Make it everyday stories where people can see themselves in that action, and make it relevant to their lives. This goes back to knowing your audience. You need to know what is relevant to them. And then, of course, keep it brief. You don't want to go too long because then you are missing the learning target. But stories keep people engaged. So I want to recap. Your learning intention should drive your speech. It should drive your presentation. If you're not clear on your learning intention, your speech is going to be all over the place, or you risk overwhelming your audience. Then, once you have your learning intention mapped out, determine success criteria. What actions during your presentation are you going to have people take? Some of my favorites is just give me a yes in the audience. Give me a hands up. Give me a clap. Turn and talk to your partner. Those are some just simple tools to engage your audience and keep them going. But here's the kicker. You also need to determine the action you want people to take after your presentation, the immediate action. Is it, do you want them to opt in for something? Do you want them to sign up for something? Do you want them to take that exact thing that you just taught them and immediately apply it? You're going to tell them what that is, and you're going to encourage them to do it because you've given them the tools to do so. And as always, plan, map it out and backwards design so that you, my friend, will have a successful presentation. Now, if you are ready to take the next step in your speaking journey, I want you to go ahead and sign up for my free Captivate Your Audience session. I'm putting the link in the notes, but let me tell you, together during this session, we are going to map out your next presentation and determine how we can get you on those stages to make it a reality. So until next time, my friends, I'll see you later.